They told you nuts are healthy, but here's the shocking truth no one dares to say out loud. After age 60, some of the most popular nuts in your kitchen may be slowly killing your erections, raising your blood pressure, clouding your memory, and silently damaging your kidneys. And what's worse, most seniors eat them every single day, thinking they're doing something good for their bodies. I'm Dr. Smith. I've spent over 30 years helping older men and women reclaim their energy, their clarity, and yes, their vitality in the bedroom. And I've seen again and again how the right foods can restore life, while the wrong ones quietly steal it away. What if I told you there are 4 specific nuts that support circulation, boost brain function, balance blood sugar, and even help you sleep better? And yet almost no one over 60 is eating them regularly. At the same time, there are 4 others that are marketed as healthy, but are quietly causing inflammation, disrupting your medications, and putting your heart at risk. You deserve to know the difference. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all 8, the 4 you must choose every day, and the 4 you should never eat again. Clear, science-based, and tailored specifically for your body after 60. And near the end, I'll expose one nut in particular, the most dangerous of all, that's been linked to memory loss and even liver damage. It might be sitting in your pantry right now. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another health lesson designed specifically for seniors like you. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can better serve your health and well-being. All right, now let's begin with the 4 powerful nuts you should be eating every single day. These aren't just snacks. They're natural medicine for your heart, your brain, your energy, and yes, even your performance in the bedroom. Let's take a closer look at each one and why they matter more than ever after 60. The 4 best nuts for seniors. Eat these daily. 1. Brazil nuts, your thyroid and testosterone booster. I still remember one of my patients, a retired firefighter in his late 60s. Let's call him Jack. He came to me exhausted, mentally foggy, and frustrated with his low energy and lagging performance. We ran a full lab panel and found Jack was severely low in selenium, a trace mineral most men over 60 don't even think about, but one that plays a massive role in how we feel, think, and function. I told Jack to do something simple. Eat 1 Brazil nut a day. Just 1. 3 weeks later, he returned to my office. His face was different, his eyes sharper. He leaned in with a smile and said, "Doc, I don't know what's in that nut, but I feel alive again." That's the power of Brazil nuts. This remarkable nut is the richest natural source of selenium on the planet. Just a single nut provides over 130% of your daily requirement. Selenium is critical for activating thyroid hormones, which regulate everything from your metabolism and energy levels to your mood and memory. And there's more. Selenium is essential for testosterone production. Low testosterone doesn't just affect libido. It affects your strength, your sleep, your motivation. Brazil nuts quietly support your body's ability to produce and balance this key hormone naturally. And what really makes this nut special is how it protects your nerves. The fats in Brazil nuts help maintain your myelin sheath, the insulation around your nerves that keeps your reflexes sharp and your movement fluid. Now, I always caution my patients, more is not better. Too much selenium can be toxic over time. That's why I recommend no more than 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day. Keep them in the refrigerator, ideally still in the shell, and chew thoroughly. It's a small ritual with a massive return on investment. You don't need a bottle of pills. You just need nature's wisdom and the discipline to use it. 2. Almonds, the bone and brain defender. There's something incredibly comforting about almonds. For me, they remind me of my father. Every morning, he'd sit by the window with a cup of warm tea and a small bowl of raw almonds. He used to say, "These little things are keeping me sharp, son." Back then, I didn't fully understand the science, but now, after decades in medicine and aging research, I know he was absolutely right. Almonds are one of the most overlooked yet powerful allies in senior health. They are a daily defense system for two of the most vulnerable parts of the aging body: your bones and your brain. After age 60, bone density begins to decline rapidly. Almonds are rich in calcium, nearly 100 milligrams in just a quarter cup. But what makes them stand out is their magnesium. Magnesium helps move calcium into your bones where it belongs. That combination of calcium and magnesium is rare in one food, but almonds deliver both. Now let's talk about your brain. Almonds contain powerful antioxidants, especially when you eat them with the skin on. The flavonoids in that thin brown skin work in harmony with vitamin E to neutralize the oxidative stress that damages brain cells as we age. Studies even show that almonds may slow the progression of cognitive decline when eaten consistently. And there's more. Almonds are loaded with fiber, around 3.5 grams per serving, which helps combat constipation, a struggle that nearly half of seniors quietly deal with every day. I often recommend 15 to 20 almonds a day, raw or dry, roasted, unsalted, and always chewed well. Take your time. Make it a mindful habit. You're not just eating a nut. You're investing in your future mobility, clarity, and dignity. 3. Walnuts, the brain's favorite food. There's a moment I'll never forget. Years ago, I visited a patient named Harold, a retired music teacher in his 70s, struggling with memory loss. During our visit, he pulled out a small glass jar filled with walnuts. He looked at me and said, "I read somewhere they're good for the brain, and they look like a brain too." That stuck with me. Walnuts are extraordinary. Structurally, yes, they resemble the brain, but chemically, they do something even more profound. Walnuts are rich in alpha-linolenic acid ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that helps build and maintain the membranes of brain cells. As we age, these membranes lose flexibility, and memory becomes fuzzy. ALA helps keep those connections strong. Walnuts are loaded with polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and directly reduce inflammation in neural tissue. Inflammation is a silent killer of memory, focus, and cognition. It's a key driver of dementia. But here's something most people don't know. Walnuts also contain natural melatonin, the hormone your body produces to regulate sleep. As we grow older, our melatonin levels decline, leading to restless nights. For many of my older patients, simply adding a small handful of walnuts in the evening helps them fall asleep faster and wake up feeling more restored. I usually recommend eating 7 to 9 walnut halves per day. Keep them refrigerated to protect their delicate oils. And don't worry about the slight bitterness in the skin. That's where many of the antioxidants live. 4. Pistachios, blood pressure, vision, and diabetes. Defense. When I was growing up, my grandfather had this old wooden bowl on the kitchen counter. Every afternoon, he'd sit with a handful of pistachios, carefully cracking them open. I never thought much of it then, just a quiet habit. But now, with all we know about nutrition and aging, I realize he was doing something incredibly wise without knowing the science. He was protecting his blood pressure, his eyesight, and even his ability to manage sugar. Pistachios are, without question, one of the most underrated superfoods for seniors. For starters, they're one of the most potassium-rich nuts out there, clocking in at around 285 milligrams per serving. Potassium is critical for maintaining healthy blood pressure, especially after 60, when arterial stiffness and salt sensitivity tend to increase. They're also rich in two powerful carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin, which play a vital role in eye health. These compounds accumulate in the retina and help filter out harmful blue light, slowing the progression of age-related macular degeneration. Vision loss is one of the most feared conditions among seniors, and pistachios provide gentle, consistent support. But perhaps most importantly, pistachios are surprisingly helpful for blood sugar regulation. With about 3 grams of fiber per ounce and a naturally low glycemic index, they help slow digestion, reduce post-meal sugar spikes, and keep insulin levels stable. For the millions of seniors dealing with diabetes or prediabetes, adding a handful of pistachios each day can quietly make a real difference. I typically recommend about 1 ounce per day, roughly 49 pistachios. Unsalted or lightly salted varieties are best. And if you have arthritis or limited hand strength, look for the naturally half-opened ones to make shelling easier. The 4 worst nuts for seniors. Never eat these. Now, here's the thing. While these 4 nuts can elevate your health after 60, there are others that can quietly tear it down. Nuts that look innocent, even healthy, but are actually triggering inflammation, raising blood pressure, interfering with medications, and contributing to brain fog. You deserve to know what they are. In the next section, I'll show you exactly which nuts to avoid and why they may be doing more harm than good. Stay with me. This is where the truth gets surprising. 1. Peanuts, the inflammation time bomb. I'll never forget the day George came into my office, 72 years old, proud veteran. He said something felt off. His joints ached, he was tired, and his blood pressure had crept up. One thing stood out. He snacked on peanuts almost every day. "They're healthy, right?" he asked. That moment reminded me just how much confusion still exists. The truth is, peanuts are not really nuts. They're legumes, grown underground. And that one detail makes a world of difference. Because of the way they grow, peanuts are highly susceptible to mold, specifically to a toxin called aflatoxin. This mold is invisible, tasteless, but over time, it can build up in the body, harming the liver and weakening the immune system. Seniors, whose detox systems naturally slow with age, are especially vulnerable. But that's not the only concern. Even without an allergy, peanuts can trigger subtle, chronic inflammatory responses in many people, affecting the joints, the heart, and even the brain. For older adults already facing stiffness and fatigue, peanuts can become the fuel behind the fire. And then there's the salt. Most commercial peanuts are excessively salted. For seniors managing high blood pressure, which is more than 60% of adults over 65, this added sodium only worsens the problem. Add to that the hydrogenated oils and sugars often found in commercial peanut butters, and you've turned a simple snack into a daily dose of danger. Peanuts also have a high omega-6 fatty acid content, which can throw off the delicate balance of omega-3 to omega-6 in your body, a key factor in controlling inflammation. That imbalance alone can sabotage circulation and worsen memory. And if you take medications like blood thinners, peanuts contain compounds that can interfere with absorption, especially vitamin K. This makes medication management even more complicated. I'm not saying everyone needs to panic if they've had a peanut here and there, but if you're over 60 and eating them regularly, it's time to seriously reconsider. There are safer, more supportive alternatives. 2. Cashews, The blood sugar and kidney stone trap. A few years back, I had a patient named Linda. She was 70, loved to bake for her grandchildren. When she came in complaining of fatigue, stomach discomfort, and unexpected spikes in her blood sugar, we dug into her habits. To my surprise, cashews came up again and again. "They're good for you, right?" she asked with a hopeful smile. Cashews are tricky. They wear the costume of a healthy snack, creamy texture, mild flavor. But underneath, cashews carry risks that most people, especially seniors, rarely hear about. First, let's talk about blood sugar. Cashews have a relatively high carbohydrate content for a nut, about 9 grams per ounce, and a notable glycemic effect. That means they can cause your blood sugar to spike more quickly than you'd expect. For the 25% of seniors already diagnosed with diabetes and the 48% who are considered pre-diabetic, those little spikes add up, and the damage is often silent. Cashews are also loaded with something called oxalates. These are naturally occurring compounds that bind with calcium in your gut, making it harder for your body to absorb this essential mineral. Worse, oxalates can accumulate in the body and contribute to the formation of kidney stones, a painful condition that becomes more common and more dangerous with age. There's another risk many people overlook, especially those with swallowing difficulties. Cashews are smooth, curved, and surprisingly easy to aspirate. Among all the nuts, cashews are among the most frequently involved in choking incidents. That creamy texture that feels so comforting? It can also become a silent hazard. And finally, there's the issue of processing. Most people don't realize that cashews in their raw state are toxic. They contain urushiol, the same chemical found in poison ivy. To make them safe, they have to be heavily processed, steamed, cooked, stripped. In that process, many of their natural nutrients are lost. That's why I recommend seniors swap cashews for safer, more functional alternatives like almonds or walnuts. 3. Macadamia nuts, the silent weight gainer. I once had a patient named Carl, a retired engineer in his late 60s, very disciplined with his routines. But over a few months, Carl began putting on weight gradually, subtly. His blood pressure was creeping up, and he often felt sluggish after meals. When we reviewed his diet, he chuckled and said, "Well, Doc, I don't eat much junk, but I do treat myself to a few macadamia nuts each night. They're supposed to be heart-healthy, right?" That's when I knew we had to talk. Macadamia nuts are luxurious. Their rich, buttery taste makes them feel indulgent. But what most people don't realize, especially as we get older, is that macadamias pack an enormous amount of fat and calories into every single bite. Just 1 ounce, barely a handful, contains nearly 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. For someone over 60 whose metabolism has naturally slowed, that adds up fast. You're taking in the calorie load of a full mini-meal without even feeling full. That's what I call silent weight gain. But it's not just about weight. Macadamias are also one of the highest in saturated fat among all nuts, about 3 grams per ounce. That's the kind of fat that can raise LDL cholesterol and place more strain on an aging heart. Then there's the issue of the gallbladder. Many older adults develop gallstones and don't even know it. Macadamia nuts, due to their extremely high fat content, can trigger these stones to move, causing painful attacks that can result in emergency visits or even surgery. I've seen it happen more than once. And let's not forget oral health. Macadamia nuts are dense and hard. For seniors with bridges, crowns, or sensitive teeth, chewing them can be risky. I've had patients crack dental work on these nuts, resulting in expensive and painful dental visits. I always tell my patients this: Macadamias might feel like a small indulgence, but they carry a heavy price, one that sneaks in slowly, then stays for the long haul. 4. Pine nuts, the medication disruptor, the most dangerous nut for seniors. Several years ago, I had a patient named Ruth. She was 74, thoughtful, and meticulous with her health. One day, she came into my office with a strange concern. She said, "Everything tastes metallic. Even water tastes off. It's been going on for weeks." At first, we looked at medications, digestion, hydration, but nothing stood out. Then she mentioned something she'd added to her diet recently, a homemade pesto rich with pine nuts. That's when everything clicked. Pine nuts may be small, but for older adults, they can cause surprisingly big problems. What happened to Ruth is known as pine mouth, a bitter metallic taste distortion that can last for days or even weeks. It's not dangerous in itself, but here's the hidden issue. When food and water suddenly taste unpleasant, many seniors unconsciously eat and drink less. For someone already at risk of unintentional weight loss or dehydration, this seemingly minor side effect can lead to serious consequences: frailty, nutrient deficiencies, even hospitalizations. But pine nuts don't stop there. One of the biggest concerns with this particular nut is its potential to interfere with common medications. Pine nuts contain specific compounds that can alter how drugs are metabolized in the liver. This includes medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, and mood, three of the most commonly prescribed drug classes for older adults. The risk? Reduced effectiveness or unexpected side effects. And most seniors are never warned about this interaction. There's also the issue of inflammation. Pine nuts are high in polyunsaturated fats, which are delicate and prone to oxidation, especially if the nuts have been stored improperly. Once oxidized, these fats can actually promote inflammation. Another concern I've seen more than once in my older patients is aspiration risk. Pine nuts are small, slippery, and can easily be inhaled accidentally, especially by those on medications that cause dry mouth, which is incredibly common after 60. For all of these reasons, I urge seniors to avoid pine nuts altogether. There are plenty of alternatives that offer flavor and healthy fats without these risks. Food should nourish and protect, not complicate or endanger. You're never too old to change what matters. Now you've learned which nuts to eat and which ones to avoid. But what does this all mean for your daily life, your energy, your memory, your heart, and even your intimacy? When I reflect on all the years I've spent sitting across from men and women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, I've come to realize something powerful. Aging doesn't break us down. It's the little habits, done repeatedly over time, that either build us up or quietly wear us down. And food, especially something as small and seemingly innocent as a handful of nuts, is often at the center of that story. Today we talked about 8 nuts, 4 that I truly believe every senior should eat daily: Brazil nuts, almonds, walnuts, and pistachios. Not because they're trendy, but because they work. They support your thyroid and testosterone, strengthen your bones and your brain, improve your sleep, protect your heart, and help you feel in control of your health again. Then we looked at 4 others: peanuts, cashews, macadamia nuts, and pine nuts, that are quietly doing the opposite, causing inflammation, disrupting medication, spiking blood sugar, contributing to weight gain, or even weight loss in all the wrong ways. Most of them are marketed as healthy, or at the very least harmless. But after 60, your body changes. What once gave you energy might now leave you sluggish. What once passed through easily could now be fueling issues you don't even realize are connected to your food. And I want to say something clearly here, not as a doctor, but as someone who's watched people I care about struggle silently. You are not broken. You're not too old. Your health is not a lost cause. The body you wake up in today is still listening. It's still changing. And it still responds, sometimes in incredible ways, to the small, consistent choices you make. I've seen it in the man who swapped peanuts for pistachios and lowered his blood pressure without adding a single new medication. In the woman who ate one Brazil nut a day and finally felt her energy return. In the couple who started snacking on walnuts in the evening and noticed they were both sleeping through the night for the first time in months. These aren't miracles. They're biology. They're your body doing what it's meant to do when you give it the right fuel. So, as you walk into your kitchen tomorrow morning or pass by the snack aisle later this week, pause. Think back to what you've learned here. Choose wisely. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to change everything at once. But choose one thing and keep choosing it. That's how change begins. Because this isn't just about cholesterol numbers or blood pressure charts. It's about waking up feeling steady on your feet, remembering the name of the neighbor who stopped by, having the energy to walk, to laugh, to hold hands a little longer. It's about staying in the game, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and intimately. I'm Dr. Smith, and I want you to remember this. You're not too old to feel strong again. You're not too far gone to reclaim your energy, your clarity, your confidence. You just need to give your body the right things, and it will meet you more than halfway. Start with the nuts. Let that be your first signal to your body and to yourself that you're ready to thrive again.